She can't just come empty-handed, you know. She got to have a
Ah.
certain amount of money. You understand? Yeah.
So, now at the tender age of 72, correct?
Right.
Do you reflect back on your life and do you consider yourself as a successful Mac?
I don't even consider being in that.
Mm.
I was there, but no, I wouldn't even want my, really. It's a life that you got the penitentiary on one side and the graveyard on the other. It's that and drug dealing. It's the same. It always, it ain't no good ending to it. It ain't a good ending to it. It's not.
So, I have a question with that.
Okay.
For for that reflection, did you have to go through it to come up with that, or
What? Go through
the
what?
go through being a Mac? Did you have to go through that to be like, you know what, the graveyard or jail? Because in the midst of it, you were still doing it. You were still running. You were still. What made you come up with that? What was your breaking point? Like, I can't. This is not going anywhere for me.
Well, like I told you, I had 7 felonies. Every time I would get stopped by the police, they would make me get out the car and on the ground.
Mm.
But this is the thing. Most all of them was trumped up charges. I was charged with capital murder. They said I robbed a bank in Beverly Hills, California, and killed a teller. They held me 3 months or something before they sent a man down from California to identify me. And he said, no, that's not the guy. That's not the guy. But they left it on my record. Highland Park police, man, they would say in a minute, man, you killed a policeman, didn't you? I ain't killed nobody. But see, that capital murder, I don't know why they figured it was a police. You understand? But yeah. And then, and
Wait, let's pause. So the capital murder charge, how many years were you facing with that charge? That's big.
it was big, baby. It was big. But that's not the worst of it. In 91, they charged me with 3 counts of aggravated robbery. And I got picked up by an old cop that used to harass us back in my younger days.
Oh wow.
And he said, Larry, me and you both too old for this shit. Yeah, I had a girl. He said when they told me about it, it was it was a black guy with a white girl in this Cadillac. I knew it was, I said, man, I hadn't ever robbed anybody. Never. But what they done was they took me on Northwest Highway, and the detective came and snapping pictures of me, Polaroid pictures. Man, they had me on a $100,000 bond. So my brother bonded me out, got out of jail. Then at this time, I know, man, it's time for me to start straightening out my life. So I'm,
How old were you?
I was 40 something. So yeah, so I was out of jail. Then I started going to church with my wife, because like I said, she was church going and everything. My case was in Judge Faith Johnson's court, and she goes to the same church.
Mm.
So I had paid lawyer all this money. And every time I go to see him, he told me everything was all right. So a year had passed and I hadn't heard nothing. So I went to Faith at church and I told her that I had a case in her court and that I hadn't heard anything. And she said, well, those kind of cases don't go away. So Monday, call the court and see. And said, I'll get it through my court as fast as possible. I said, okay. I called the court, and they said, you got a warrant out for your, I said, warrant? And baby, it was March the 9th. I went out there and turned myself in. And that evening, helicopter was swarming over the house. Them jump out boys came. They came for me. But for a whole year, nothing. And they came to kick the door, and they told my wife they were looking for me. She said, he's in jail. They said, what? She said, yeah, he turned himself in this morning. See, that was God again.
Right.
Yeah, because they probably would have killed me. You understand what I'm saying? So I was in jail. Now I got another bond. This time it's 100,000 cash. I was in there, man, I'm thinking, God have mercy. They're trying to railroad me about something I don't know nothing about. No idea. Well, me and my brother used to use Fred Tinsley when we were younger. You know, Fred Tinsley, he's Clarice Tinsley's first cousin. But, you know, we and Fred been pretty tight through the years. He used to do a lot of stuff for us.
He's a lawyer.
Was as
he
a lawyer,
okay.
Yeah. My brother contacted Fred because they had gave me a court-appointed attorney. And he came, talked to me, and asked me about the robbers. I said, man, I don't know nothing about no robbers. I've never robbed nobody. He said, well, with your record, Mr. Neely having you 60 years aggravated. He said, so I think you should go ahead and take them. I said, 60 years? Aggravated, meaning I would do 40 calendar years? I said, man, I'd rather give me the death penalty. Court-appointed attorney told me I should go ahead and cop for it. I said, no. So I talked with my brother, so I told him, so he said, I'm going and get Fred. He went and got Fred. So Fred came down, talked to me in jail, and he said, did you? I said, Fred, you've been on me a lot of years. I said, man, yeah, you know we had girl. I said, but man, robbery, you know, I didn't even allow them to rob nobody. He said, well, maybe some of the things that you got away with done caught up with you. Man, I almost got mad at him. I said, come on, man. So he said, okay, I see what I can do. I said, first of all, they say that I put a gun on these guys, took their money, and I had the white girl that they say I had with me to drive my Cadillac, and I drove their car up on Lover's Lane. I say, if I drove their car, have them to do the fingerprint, because they hadn't even done that. Every time I go to court, the people that I suppose the robbers in there, nothing but white people in there except me, and I'm the only black guy in there. And they done, the investigator done showed my pictures. You understand? Tell them I'm the one that robbed them. Man, there was this guy who used to work for me. His name was Carl Gates. So I told Fred, I said, now one of those things, I said, Carl had my car, I remember, because the guy owed me some money. Carl told me he took this guy was supposed to be going to cash a check over in East Dallas somewhere. But what he done was he went in and he watched all the people in line, and he saw this old white lady cash a big check, and he followed outside and snatched the purse and ran and jumped in my car, which Carl was driving, and told him to drive, you know. And see, somebody wrote the license plate down, and so it came back
To you.
me. So this is how the three robbery came out, because first time it was supposed to have been two white guys. Carl was in prison for something else. Carl was a killer. He did now. But Fred sent and had Carl brought up on a bench warrant. And he told him in the court, he said, Mr. Neely didn't know nothing about it. He told him exactly what happened. Fred Tinley switched the case out of the Johnson lady into what's our district attorney name now? Crusoe. That's my man, Crusoe. Crusoe looked at all this. He said, first of all, it said that the guy who robbed these guys said it was a young black male about 120 pounds with a long jerry curl. He said this man here weighed 200 pounds. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And bald headed. You understand what I'm saying? He said, get this out of my court. And he said, you can go, Mr. Nita. Dismissed it.
Dismissed the entire case.
Dismissed it. But you know, I have to say this. You know, Faith Johnson was just running, trying to get trying to get elected. But I heard her before the thing was switched. After I got through talking to her, she said he probably did it. And if he wouldn't have taken it out of court, I'd have went to prison.
You still go to church with her?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, she left there because I'm gonna tell you, there used to be a guy that went to Concord. He had a vending thing, right? He was a tall, nice looking guy, so he got with Faith and he married her. And then he left Faith and got Coven Cottrell. Coven Cottrell, what? Yeah.
Not you telling us tea.
Huh? Boy, it was bad, man.
So you are a father of 5 sons.
4.
4 sons. How did you guide them to ignore the circumstances you went through? What were your life lessons that you gave to your sons?
I always, told them to do the right thing. They were always free to choose. Now, like Benny and the one older than him, Brian, now, they used to be kind of bad actors, man. When that guy shot me in Dallas, I had to make them go, man. They hung around. They were laying to kill this guy. They could find out who done it. They were over there with Uzis and
Your sons?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you that. I said, listen, y'all, if I want him dead, I'm gonna do it myself. But my boys, they don't want nobody messing with their pops. You know?
Do you feel that y'all all have like a great relationship?
Yeah. I mean, me and all my boys, real good.
Tell me about this wife. How is your relationship with the wife?
My wife?
Are y'all still married?
Yeah, 51 years.
Oh, wow.
Sick of sin, thick of thin. And you know what? It hadn't always been easy for, really, but she was always there for me. So I know the Lord gave it to me because, you understand, one time I think my mama even told her I'd leave him.
Your mom even told her.
And I know one of my sisters told her. Yeah, but she didn't go.
Do you think, what is the secret of that? Like, what advice would you have for other married couples right now? Because that's a lot. Like your story, and she, like, what was the quote you just said? Sink and swim.
Sick of sin, thick of thin.
Ain't nobody trying to do that right now.
I know.
That's unheard of.
I know, man. I know.
Do you have any advice for married couples?
No. I ain't in a position to give them, no.
All right. If you can go back and change anything about your life, what would it be?
Oh, baby. Probably most of it. I used to tell people that I was a firm believer in the fact that life design was already made. I'm not sure that was exactly the way my life was designed, but I know that it was a reason why I'm still here. I have these stories, and for a long time, people have asked me, mentioned the fact that I should tell. And 10 years ago, I was in Houston. I had several businesses after I got out of the street life. Had a courier service. I had, in other words, I always had to have my own thing because I don't follow instruction too well. I don't like nobody telling me when I can go and come. So I started writing a book about my life. Then I stopped. I said, I don't want to tell it if I'm gonna hurt somebody. I don't want to tell it if God can't get the glory. And it's so funny. I told my wife, I said, I stopped writing that book because I don't want to write it if God can't get the glory. She said, well, he get the glory by you telling people how he spared your life. Many times you've been shot and, and this and that. And I said, I never thought about that. I don't know what I would change, baby. And that's the truth. That's the truth. I guess I could say I would have been a dad, a brother, better husband. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a great answer, though. All right. So, last question. Tell us about how your life is now.
My life is good. You know, and then I've never been one who had to walk looking behind them because, you know, even in the street, I treated people the way I wish to be treated. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't have them ghost hunting me. You understand? I don't have to worry about that because, you know, I ain't done you no wrong.
All right.